discussing how contractors can finish strong and finish well when they decide to exit their business. This is the Contractor Succession Podcast.
Welcome to the Contractor Succession Podcast. My name is Marty Wolf, and I am the host. I should say co-host, but my partner, Scott Good, is not with us today. He is on an assignment, so we'll be reporting on that later on. So again, I am the only host for the Contractor Succession Podcast. And what we do on this podcast in our company is we help business people build their businesses so they thrive, so that when it is time to exit, they have something of real value to transition from. My special guest today is my good friend, Ben Lawrence. Ben, how are you, sir?
Fantastic, Marty. Good to see you.
Good to see you also. We are going to be talking about Ben's book. His title of it is The Heart of the Wolf, The Upside Down Secret to Being a Kick-Ass Salesperson. Now, the disclaimer is, I'm holding it up, is that it's spelled W-O-L-F, not W-O-L-F-F. So in case some people who know me think, whoa, Ben wrote a book about Marty. That's not true, but we're going to be talking about his great book. Ben, let me formally introduce you, and then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of what you wrote about, which I'm excited to share with our audience. So introducing Ben Lawrence. Most salespeople and the companies who employ them have a serious problem. They're not selling as much as they should be, and they're not taking the right actions to sell more. Ben wrote this book because he spent the last 30 years figuring out how to fix that problem, and he's cracked the code on how to do it. Wow. Okay. He spent his entire career learning how to reach real decision makers, discover real buying motivations, and close deals that are a win-win. Today's conversation is not about how to develop pretty brochures or win advertising awards or to be a social media sensation. No, it's about how to win in the streets as an elite, wolf-hearted sales professional that customers love. Holy mackerel, Ben, I'm thrilled to be sharing this story. You know, Ben, and we've talked, I'm at my heart, I'm a professional salesperson, so I love talking about this stuff, you know? So let's get started, Ben. So you've spent, let's see, let me go back to my notes again here, 30 years figuring this out. So, and it says along the way here that you've spent that time learning to flip the script on traditional sales methodologies. Okay. What were your experiences, your jobs, whatever, that got you to this point?
Well, Marty, like most people in sales, and I'm sure you can appreciate this, the way I learned over 30 years was primarily through failure. Meaning I tried a lot of things that did not work, right? And my background is always in sales, but everything from advertising to contractor services to education and training to technology and industrial services. So what I wrote in the book were the principles that I've learned that are industry agnostic, meaning concepts and approaches that we can apply in any sales arena with success.
Excellent. So let's go back to the title of the book. Why did you title the book The Heart of the Wolf? What's the background there?
Well, Marty, if only we'd spoken sooner, I could have written the book about you because I know your backstory and I know you've lived a lot of this. But here's the problem, Marty, and the reason I entitled the book as I did is wolves and salespeople have something in common. They both have bad reputations. Hollywood has it wrong, right? So if we think about Little Red Riding Hood, the big bad wolf, the Wolf of Wall Street, right? Whether it's storybooks or Hollywood scripts, salespeople are often depicted as these bloodthirsty, money hungry scoundrels that are looking for ways to manipulate their audience into doing something that they otherwise would not do. And it is untrue. There are salespeople on the streets today that do have that approach, but they are not the winners. They're the losers. And it's the same with a wolf pack. So if you look at a wolf, if you watch its special on National Geographic or read something about wolves, and you're going to learn that wolves are not just bloodthirsty killers. Wolves are selfless creatures that will do anything to serve and protect their pack.
Yeah.
And it's the same with professional salespeople that truly embody that heart of service. And that's what this book is about.
So, as I've already mentioned, Ben Lawrence is my guest. I want to tell you right away, folks, his website is leadthesalespack.com. Leadthesalespack.com. So, you may want to pull that up while you're listening or watching. If you're listening, pull that up and you can see what's there. So, let's start sharing some of the secrets. And Ben, as you've indicated, this is not my first rodeo in sales. So, when we use the word secrets, I feel like it's unfortunate, but they are secrets what you've written about. You are revealing something that people need to learn about. So I'll ask you this way. What do the, I guess maybe top 5% of salespeople do that the other 95% don't do? Let maybe ask you that way.
Sure. The winners behave very differently, Marty. And when I think about your audience, the people who are listening today, I hope that they're mostly small to medium-sized business leaders, correct?
For the most part, but we have several people that are bigger companies, and so we'll reach a lot of different people. But you're right, that's our
Okay.
primary audience.
All right. Okay. Whether you're the small business, whether you're the David fighting the Goliath, or even if you're the Goliath fighting to protect the territory that you already have or expand into other areas, winning salespeople, the elite 5%, I'd say there are 2 to 3 things that they do differently, Marty, that the others don't.
Okay.
The very first thing that the best in the business do is when they're communicating with customers, they don't talk about why you. They talk about why change. Now, what I mean by that, and this is really important, most salespeople believe that their job is to show up, get in front of a customer, and start talking about themselves and why their company is the best option as a partner.
Yeah.
So it turns into a brag fest, right? I am wonderful. My company is wonderful. And let me tell you all the reasons that you should buy from me. And that is dead wrong. What the elite 5% understand is that we have to go in there and not sell them on why buy from us. We have to educate the customer on why they need to change the way that they're doing things today, why they need to partner with a new vendor, why they need to try a new technology that they haven't tried before, why they need to attend a training that they haven't considered in the past. It's all about why change. So it moves from a sales engagement to what I call a provocative education engagement. So that's principle number 1. But Marty, I'm going to stop there just to see if you have any questions or thoughts on that before we continue.
No, keep going. I'm with the flow. Keep going.
Okay. All right. The second activity or action that the elites take and the rest don't is that they think of themselves more as snipers than as somebody wandering through the forest with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Now, let me be clear. there is a major difference between marketing and sales.
Yeah.
We're talking about sales. Marketing is about broadcasting your message to a large audience.
Yep.
The most elite salespeople do the exact opposite. The elites, we put our blinders on and we focus on our top 5, 10, maximum 100 individuals on planet Earth whom we are convinced, number one, can make a decision, and number two, we can help.
Yeah.
And we go with relentless focus after those individuals on planet Earth, as opposed to just chasing every squirrel that happens to cross our path.
Yeah. Before you go to number 3, I want to point out that in the book, there are exercises, there are tools that will allow you to go deeper on what Ben is pointing out, which is another reason why I really like the book. So go to number 3, Ben.
Okay. Well, the third is more about our communication style. The elites, they talk a lot less.
Yeah.
And they listen a lot more. Now, Marty, we could go on for days on that topic, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that the elites, they know how to ask the right questions that uncover a customer's true buying motivations, and they do not open their mouths and begin selling or educating at all until they really understand what's important to that audience.
Yeah. And I think people do that, if I can interject something, is because they're nervous and they have to talk because, in my opinion, they are not prepared to have that kind of discussion. They have not done some research. They don't have some background. They don't. So, therefore, they'll, what's commonly called, show up and throw up, right? Because they're nervous. They're not prepared to go through what you're recommending. Again, I'm going to mention, folks, that there are exercises and tools in there to help you be prepared. So let me go to this because it ties into what you just shared with us. And there were some things that you wrote that I felt challenged by, Ben, which I think is good. Chapter 3, the title of Chapter 3 is Leverage Challenges Unrelated to Your Solution. Okay, let's go slow on this one. I'm going to repeat that because this challenged me. The Chapter 3 is titled Leverage Challenges Unrelated to Your Solution. You got to tell me more.
I'm going to tell you a story, Marty, that I think your audience will appreciate. Was working recently with an organization in Pennsylvania called Happy Valley Industry. Now, Happy Valley Industry, it's a cool little company. They do a publication that helps organizations tell the story about their business and helps those companies create awareness around their business. So they're selling advertising at the end of the day. But what they learned is that the biggest problem their top customers and prospects had wasn't really about advertising. The biggest problem that Happy Valley Industries customers had was that they weren't closing enough deals. They didn't know how to go out and find customers and close deals. Now, is Happy Valley Industry an expert in sales? No. Do they have courses on how to sell? No. But they knew that that was their customer's biggest pain point. So Happy Valley Industry did something pretty novel, Marty. They sponsored a half-day sales workshop for all of their customers and prospects to come in and learn about some techniques and strategies on how to sell more to their dream clients. Now, that was an unrelated problem, meaning they knew it was a problem that their customers had, but Happy Valley Industry was not in the business of solving it. However, by putting their customers with a subject matter expert, happened to be me, but putting them with a subject matter expert that knew how to address that. Who's the hero in that story, Marty?
Yeah, Happy Valley. Absolutely. Yeah, positively. That's a
Happy Valley.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great story. That relates very well to the question.
The
That's
reality is, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Everybody left with a real
yeah.
optimistic outlook on how they're going to finish this year strong.
Yeah.
But the point is, and we often forget this as salespeople, Marty, our customers have problems just like we do. We all have problems. No one is living a perfect life. So when we can earn the reputation as a resource that is number one, in tune with our customers' problems, and number two, someone who will take action in a selfless effort to help, it helps us earn that relationship as a pack member, as a trusted advisor who's going to be there when they are ready to become a client.
When they are ready to be a client, be visible and be helpful. My guest is Ben Ben Lawrence, excuse me.
Yeah.
His website is leadthesalespack.com. Leadthesalespack.com. Tell me what I'm going to find when I go to your website. What's on there, Ben?
You're going to find, well, there's a video greeting from me, but more importantly, you're going to see some links where you can take a few action items. Number one is you can buy the book, The Heart of the Wolf, the one you showed at the beginning, Marty. So if folks are interested in learning the concepts, they can buy that book directly through the site. I think the paperback version is 15 bucks, so it's not very much money.
Right.
They can also go onto that website in order to contact me directly. So if they're interested in any kind of workshop or guidance or projects that go above and beyond just reading the book, but putting the book into practice and going out and selling big deals, I'm available to help with that.
Yeah, it's a great website. Easy to navigate, easy to see exactly what Ben just pointed out. Okay, I'm going to move on to another challenge that I felt challenged about, and I would like for you to help me out, I guess. Maybe I'm being selfish. I think it's on page 95. Here's what you say, Ben. Now, you wrote the book, so you know what you said, so I'm going to repeat it. Just you say, there is a major difference between understanding why, excuse me, I'm going to start all over again. There is a major difference between understanding why something's important to a company and why something's important to an individual working in the company. Explain.
Marty, there's a key phrase that I hope your audience can write down or remember, and that is genuine buying motivation.
Mm,
What is your customer's genuine buying motivation? Now, there's a thought leader on sales out there whom I've followed and enjoyed for years. His name is Jeffrey Gitomer. So I credit this quote to Jeffrey Gitomer. Jeffrey Gitomer says, people buy based on emotion, and they justify their purchase based on logic. So, what I mean when I say a company's motivation to buy is different from an individual's is we have to understand why it's important, not just for the company to change, but for that individual who's making the buying decision. And I'll give you an example. So, I was meeting recently, within the last year, with a customer who is a senior executive for a very large industrial company. And I learned that this person's motivation on behalf of the company was to increase profits, right? That's what the company had to do, increase profits. And we thought we could help them with that. But going deeper and asking additional questions, as is outlined in the book, I learned that the true motivation for this individual was if he could lead a project that increased the customer or the company's profits, that he would earn a bonus. And that bonus was important to him because if he earned it, He was going to be able to send his daughter to the private college that she wanted to attend instead of the community college, which was as much as they could afford at that time.
Mm, mm.
So, what is that individual's true motivation? Is it just to increase profits at the company? Not really. So, as soon as I learned, as someone who's really there to help this individual, as soon as I learned that his real motivation was getting his daughter into a private college that he otherwise could not afford, guess what our conversations became focused on?
Yeah.
How my team and I could help that individual reach that goal.
Wow.
And if we really want to win someone's heart, not just their head, but their heart, that's the approach that we have to take.
Yeah, and if it's a week before you didn't hit your goal and you're trying to close business the week or 2 days before, this is not the approach that's going to work. Forgive me, it might work, Ben. Forgive me, I didn't mean to slam any of. But this is thoughtful, progressive, elite. That's a good word. Elite. You'll be in the 5% elite. And the 5% obviously has to do with respect of who you are, obviously your income level. You're going to have better clients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, what Ben is suggesting, I hope I'm right here, Ben, is that that this is an approach to get you to that elite status. Let me jump to something else, Ben. In our world of social media, unfortunately, I think there are some people who think that if they get somebody on Twitter, that they're going to sell them $100,000 contract. There are people who believe that. It continues to shock me. So in your book, you point out pretty strongly that you feel it's pretty important to show up at the facility. Talk to me more about that.
Marty, you and I are on virtual cameras right now, and so many in our audience are as well. And this is an okay way to begin a conversation. But even in today's world, what I've learned is that face to face engagement is crucial.
Yeah.
We live and have evolved in a three-dimensional world. The digital space is a two-dimensional world.
Mm.
There are all kinds of indicators related to body language, tone of voice, expression, and even just having a meal together that are communal. And I fear that in today's world, we've forgotten that people buy from people.
Yeah.
So sum it up, and there's a lot in the book, Marty, as you know, but we have to make the effort to be visible with our customers. In fact, here's a bet I would love to take. Give me two salespeople. One is a super experienced, slick, well positioned sales professional who does everything digitally. And the other is a young, friendly, but aggressive street fighter who's willing to go visit customers face to face. My guess is the young street fighter is still going to win. What do you think?
I'm living proof of it, my friend. I'm on the road, still am, have been, always was, always will be. I'm spending a week in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the end of the month to do just that. And I don't have to do that, but I do know that there's reasons to make that happen. So, great, great, great advice. Again, Ben Lawrence. His website is leadthesalespack.com. His book is The Heart of the Wolf, the upside down secret to being a kick-ass salesperson. Don't you want to be a kick-ass salesperson? And for those of you who are listening who are business owners, who are responsible for the sales, responsible for the profit, if you have anything to do with increasing revenue and profitability and retaining good people, this book is for you. You're going to want to read this and implement some or all of it. So let's start to wrap up. Ben, again, I'm only touching the first half of the book. Obviously, we cannot touch every element of the book. But let's start to wrap up. There may be things that I didn't ask you. There may be things that you want to make sure that we hear before we leave. So what's on your brain? What did I miss, and what do you want to point out?
Hmm. Well, first, related to your last question, which is visibility. There's another great author out there, and maybe you've interviewed him, Marty. His name is Tom Peters, and he wrote a book back in the 90s called In Search of Excellence. It's a great book. Had a chance to meet Tom Peters one time, and I asked Tom Peters, I said, Tom, what is your advice for businesses that really want to succeed and stay viable in their customer ecosystems? And I'll never forget, he looked right at me, Marty, and he pounded his fist and he said, Ben, never, never, never cut the sales travel budget.
Mm. Yeah.
So I'm just going to remind, at the end of the day, if you are a business down to your last dollar, invest that dollar in FaceTime with your
Boy,
customer.
that's great. That's
Get on the street and learn with them.
wow.
And there's a lot more we could talk about, but that is, I just want to leave your audience with that. It's not about my book. It's not about Marty or Ben. It's about your audience. And how do they win? Get on the streets. And when we get on the streets and win in the streets by applying what I wrote in the book and that you've been so kind in supporting, Marty, I am wildly confident that they're going to come out on top, as are their customers.
Ben, thank you so much for having all those experiences that you've had over the years, and I'm blessed to have gotten to know you a little better recently. I've known of you for quite a long time, and the book is magnificent. It's very helpful, so it's been helpful to me. I'm already applying some principles, so thank you. Again, folks, Ben Lawrence, his website is leadthesalespack.com, leadthesalespack.com. Just go there. He'll speak to your group, buy the book, get some time with them, and let's make some positive things happen. So, Ben, thank you for being part of the Contractor Succession Podcast.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you to your audience for the time and interest.
Thank you for listening to the Contractor Succession Podcast. You can learn more about us at our website, contractorsuccession.com. You can also find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter.